All right, so this video is about calibration and social skills. And I know we've done a lot of videos on this, but it's such an important topic. So in this video, I want to talk more about not just calibration, but also how you can need to feel out how to go about things in the right way. And with that, I don't just mean from an ethical perspective, but also for yourself. Because look at where I am right now. I am in a busy street. And so I have been here a lot and other places where it's very busy. So let's say you do talk to people here. If you are in the culture of like sales or approaching, then especially if you are a beginner, you just try to do that, to overcome that barrier and to just take action. And that's a very good thing, because otherwise if you don't do that, you never take action. All right, so definitely do that. But once you are able to do a couple reps, you need to see, all right, your mindset needs to shift from, okay, so now I can do this, or how do I do this, to how do I do this in the right way. And I'm not just coming about this to be Mr. Tell you what to do, but I'm doing this also because if you don't feel out what is the right thing for you, if you don't feel out how that can work for you, then you might be trying to push yourself to a certain result that might not be in your own best interest, because you might be so busy chasing your ideals that you have in mind, but you've never really thought about, does this really create the life that I want? Is this good for me, for long term, for what I actually want to have a good life, you know? And if you are too much just thinking about one step ahead, you know, how do I achieve this, or how do I do that? How do I approach someone, or how do I talk to these people, or how do I do this challenge? That's a good way to challenge yourself, but that in itself, like, it cannot create the life that you want. It's a very important aspect, but by itself, it cannot create the life and even the skills that you want. Because if you want to be really fluent in sales or in social skills, you want to do these challenging things, but you know, you want to be someone who can just, you know, is a natural, who can talk with ease, who can connect with ease, who can persuade people with ease and in a good way, then that's also something you need to think about. How do I go about it in a good way? How do I go about it in a way that feels good and, you know, also has some ethics as well, of course. So that's an important thing. Now, what you also need to consider is the fact that might be, you know, you'll need some practice in order to be able to do that, first of all, but then also to be able to do it in the right way. So, you know, it takes a lot of practice and also a lot of spine, right? Because people will confront you, and if you are not able to conjure up the belief in yourself that you are allowed to do that, and not just that, but also that it's the right thing to do, you're not going to convince others. No, there's many different frames you can have. There's a frame you can have when you're talking to a girl in a like a romantic way. There's a thing of, or like in a social way even. just, I'm this kind of person, this is how I talk to people. Then there's also other frames you can have, which is more in a confrontation way. So sort of like protecting boundaries, things like that. And even if in your mind, like you're doing nothing wrong, if you can't justify it with frame, if you can't justify it with internally, like your strength, if you can't state that in a natural way, then you won't be able to defend yourself, because then you're not strong enough to be that person yet. And so it's very important to think about that, because for me, I often challenge myself on these things. And I notice always that I need to bring it back a lot of the times to frame. Can I defend myself under scrutiny? When there's another, when there's someone else, who has like a good status, or like who is like doing things in the right way, and who has a certain responsibility, and who's trying to make society good, then you will need to also convince that person that, or at least like make him feel that you're coming from doing the right thing, because otherwise he won't feel that, and so either they will be upset, or there will be a confrontation, right? And so my point is that you actually need to combine both the inner strength with then also feeling out like what is the right thing to do. I think that's always what it comes down to for me. So what was I talking about? Social skills and then calibration, and then how it's important to do like the right thing, or coming from the right place. So that does matter a lot. And because obviously if you're just trying to do things, you're just trying to do something random or say something random to someone just because of the challenge, you can do it. But if at the end of the day you're not feeling good about it, then it's like, why are you doing it? So you need to calibrate in the right way, right? So that's important. Make sure that you are aligned with your ethics, and that also that you are just feeling that you're coming from the right essence. So that's what I say, really. That's what I say. So what else can I talk about? I think there's like many things we do. And then there is like the thing, I don't really know, but I think I'm going to end the video or something. To summarize, it's good to take action, and then on the other hand, like make sure that like you are aligned, that you're not just challenging yourself all the time, but that you're also taking the steps to make sure that you're coming from the right place ethically, but also for yourself, that you're moving in the direction that you want. That's really what I would say. But anyway, guys, I'm off for today. Check out my next video if you want. I'll see you guys around. Cheers.